Welcome, listeners, to Interesting Scary Podcasts, where I dive into the darkest corners of true crime and shine a light on what's been missed. I'm Grayson Holt, your guide through the shadows, bringing you stories that chill your bones and twist your mind. Today, we're stepping into the abyss of one of the most infamous names in criminal history, Jeffery Dahmer. But this isn't the Dahmer you think you know. The cannibal, the necrophiliac, the monster who lured 17 men and boys to their deaths. No, today I'm unveiling something new. A theory so bold, so haunting, it might just rewrite everything we thought we understood about his crimes. What if Dahmer wasn't just a predator driven by twisted desire? What if he was a son, desperately trying to bring his mother back from the shadows of his past? Buckle up, because this is a journey into the mind of a killer, and it starts now. Let's set the stage. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, July 22, 1991. A man stumbles into the street, dazed, handcuffs dangling from one wrist. His name is Tracy Edwards, and he's just escaped an apartment that reeks of death. Police follow him back to 924 North 25th Street, apartment 213. Inside, they find Polaroids of dismembered bodies, skulls in the fridge, a 57-gallon drum of acid dissolving human remains. Jeffery Dahmer, a quiet 31-year-old factory worker, is arrested. Over the next days, he confesses to 17 murders spanning 13 years, luring young men with promises of money or drinks, drugging them, killing them, and then, well, doing things too grim to imagine. Eating them, keeping them. The world recoils, labels him a monster, and locks him away. He's dead by 1994, killed in prison. Case closed, right? Not today. I'm here to ask, what drove him? Not the surface stuff, the sex, the control, but something deeper, something no one's dared to say before. And trust me, this theory, it's rooted in what we know about his life, his mind, and a loss that might have shaped it all. Let's start at the beginning. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, born May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee. Early years, he's a happy kid, smiling, playing, normal. But things shift. Age 4, he has hernia surgery, and his parents notice he's different, quiet, withdrawn. His dad, Lionel, a chemist, is busy with work. His mom, Joyce, a homemaker, is struggling. She's pregnant with his brother David, and she's popping pills, tranquilizers, antidepressants, you name it. Lionel later wrote she took 27 pills a day during that pregnancy. That's not a typo. 27. Imagine what that does to a household. Jeff's there, watching his mom fade into this haze, barely touching him as a baby because she's so overwhelmed. Then the fights start, Lionel and Joyce, screaming, breaking dishes. By 1978, they divorce. Joyce takes David, leaves Jeff with Lionel, then Lionel moves out too. Jeff's 18, alone in that big house in Bath Township, Ohio. And that's when it begins. That's a critical moment, and it's where this theory takes root. Divorce is tough on any kid, but for Dahmer, it's abandonment squared. Joyce doesn't just leave. She takes David, the younger brother, and Jeff's left behind. Then Lionel bails too. He's 18, no friends, no structure, just this empty house and his thoughts. That's when Stephen Hicks walks in, Dahmer's first victim. June 1978, he lures Hicks with a promise of drinking together. They hang out, Hicks tries to leave, and Dahmer kills him with a dumbbell. Dismembers him, dissolves him in acid. Why? He said he didn't want Hicks to go. That's the seed, keeping someone who won't leave, like Joyce did. And it's not just speculation. It's tied to what we know about attachment, trauma, and how the mind can twist loss into something unrecognizable. Let's paint that picture. Joyce Flint, Dahmer's mom. She marries Lionel in 1959, has Jeff in 60, David in 66. But she's not well. Lionel's book, A Father's Story, says she was anxious, depressed, hooked on pills even before Jeff was born. During that pregnancy, she's taking Equinil, morphine-based stuff, 27 pills a day, he claims. After David, it's worse. Postpartum hits hard. She's in and out of reality. Jeff's growing up, seeing this woman who's supposed to nurture him just vanish into herself. By the time he's a teen, she's fighting Lionel constantly, yelling about money, custody, everything. Then 1978 rolls around, she's out the door with David. Jeff's alone, and Hicks shows up days later. That timing, it's too perfect. It's a trigger point, and it's where this theory starts to click. Here's the leap I'm making. Dahmer's killings were an unconscious attempt to recreate and preserve a lost bond with Joyce, his mother, whose emotional absence, due to her mental health struggles and their fractured relationship, left him fixated on keeping someone forever. His victims, mostly young men, were proxies for this maternal figure, and his methods, drugging to incapacitate, preserving bodies, consuming parts, mirrored a distorted effort to reclaim her presence and prevent abandonment. Unlike the usual takes, necrophilia, power, this is about loss. Joyce is not just a distant mom, she's a ghost in his life. During his childhood, she's depressed, medicated, barely there emotionally. Lionel says she'd lie in bed all day, doped up, while Jeff's begging for attention. Then she's gone, physically, after the divorce. Dahmer's left with this void, this need to hold on to something maternal. And the details line up. Take his method, sleeping pills and drinks. Joyce is on tranquilizers, sedated, out of reach. Dahmer uses sedatives to knock his victims out, make them helpless. Then the preservation, skulls in the closet, hearts in the freezer. He told cops he liked having them around, felt less alone. Eating them. He said it was so they'd become part of me forever. That's not just cannibalism for kicks. It's possession on a level we haven't unpacked. Picture this. A kid watching his mom slip away. Then years later, he's sitting in that apartment staring at a skull, thinking he's finally got her back. It's grotesque, but it's almost like he's trying to internalize her, to never lose her again. Let's zoom out. Dahmer's not a blank slate before Hicks. He's a loner. Classmates call him weird. He's dissecting roadkill by 10, drinking by 14. High school, he's a clown, pulling pranks, but no real friends. College at Ohio State, drops out after one semester, drunk all the time. Army stint, discharged for alcoholism. Back home, living with grandma, then that apartment. The kills ramp up. 1987, Stephen Tuomi at a hotel. 1988, James Doxtator, Richard Guerrero. By 1991, it's a spree. Conorak Synthesophone, Tony Hughes, Matt Turner, on and on. Each time, same M.O., lure, drug, kill, keep. But this theory says it's not random. It's Joyce's shadow over everyone. He drugs them, like Joyce on pills, makes them passive, keeps their bodies, even eats them. It's a twisted reenactment of losing her. Take Conorak Synthesophone, May 1991. He's 14, escapes Dahmer's apartment, naked, drugged. Cops find him. Dahmer convinces them it's a lover's spat. They hand him back. Hours later, he's dead. That's not just police failure. It's Dahmer's desperation peaking. He can't let Conorak leave, like he couldn't let Joyce. Then there's Tracy Edwards, the last one, July 91. Dahmer invites him over, offers $100 to hang out. Edwards senses something off. Apartment reeks. Dahmer's got a knife, handcuffs one wrist. Edwards fights, runs, flags down cops. They bust in, find the horror show. Dahmer's calm, confesses everything. I didn't want them to leave. Trial's a circus. 1992. He pleads guilty but insane. Docs argue borderline personality, not psychosis. Sentenced to life, 15 terms. November 28, 1994, another inmate beats him dead with a barbell. But here's the question. Was he ever aware? Did he know it was about Joyce? I doubt it was conscious. Trauma like that, it's buried deep. He talks about loneliness, control, but never names Joyce as the why. In interviews, like with Stone Phillips, he's detached, says he deserved to die. That's guilt, maybe over failing this impossible quest. A conscious Dahmer might have sought therapy, not bodies. Subconsciously, though, it tracks. His actions scream attachment gone wrong. Psychologically, abandonment can fracture someone's sense of self, especially if it's tied to a primary caregiver like a mother. Attachment theory says kids need a secure base, someone consistent. Joyce wasn't that. She's physically there but emotionally gone, then physically gone too. Dahmer's response? He creates his own permanence. Hicks tries to leave and Dahmer panics, kills him to stop it. That's the blueprint. Every victim after, he's refining it. Let's debate it. Say I'm right. He's recreating Joyce. Why young men, not women? Joyce is female. His victims aren't. Does that poke a hole? Well, gender's the wrinkle, but it's not fatal. He's not literally replacing Joyce. He's replacing the feeling she gave him, or didn't give him. Young men might have been accessible, bars, gay scenes he knew, or maybe they symbolized vulnerability, like he felt as a kid. It's less about their sex and more about their role, someone he could dominate, keep like he couldn't with her. Plus, his sexuality, he's gay, shapes the target. It's still her absence driving it, just through a lens we don't expect. Another angle. He's got a dad, Lionel, and a brother, David. Why not them? Lionel's around, tries to help post-arrest, writes a book, visits prison. David's gone with Joyce, sure, but Dahmer never mentions him. Why Joyce alone? Well, Lionel's a presence, but he's not the emotional anchor. Joyce is, as the primary caregiver early on. Studies show maternal bonds hit harder when they break. David's a kid, a peer, not a caretaker. Dahmer's not losing nurturing there. Joyce is the one who's supposed to be there and isn't. Lionel tries later, but by then Dahmer's too far gone. Joyce's exit at 18 is the domino. It's her shadow, not theirs. Last push. Could this have stopped? If Joyce stays, no divorce, no pills, or if someone catches him after Hicks, does he still become the Dahmer? Maybe not. If Joyce stays stable, engaged, he might have had a tether, someone to fill that void. After Hicks' intervention, therapy, jail, could have halted it. But the divorce, the isolation, the booze, it's a perfect storm. Without that, he's a troubled kid, not a killer. Hard to say for sure, but Joyce staying changes the math. That's the kicker, listeners. This isn't the Dahmer of headlines, cannibal, monster done. It's a son, lost in a house too big, chasing a mom who's already gone. My theory, every victim was Joyce or a piece of her, in his broken mind. Not sex, not power, loss. It's new, it's heavy, and it's mine to share with you. What do you think? Hit me up on socials. Agree, disagree, scream about it. This case never stops giving. Every angle's a rabbit hole. If this hit you, dig into the psychology yourself. There's more to unpack. Next time I'm shifting gears. Another case, another twist. Subscribe, rate us, don't miss it. Interesting, scary podcasts where the truth hides in the dark. This is Grayson Holt signing off. See you then.